And we're back with a new member of the family. Welcome to Family Forge, where I'm learning blacksmithing from my dad, who is now called Pop Pop. We're taking Delilah on her first tour of the shop. Maybe she'll want to learn when she's older and continue the tradition. Sadly, we also lost a member of the family last spring, our dog Heidi, so you'll no longer see her hanging out with us. It's been many months since I last blacksmithed, so I'll have to do some more practicing off camera, making the rosehead nails and J-hooks from the previous videos. In the meantime, we're going to show you how my dad makes a weeder. This was the first tool he developed in his line of heirloom-quality garden tools he started over a decade ago, but they're not widely available for purchase at the moment. Okay, let's get started.
This is one of the garden tools that I make. It starts out as a 12-inch piece of this 5/16 hexagonal stock, and I forge this all out of that hex material and then add the handle on later and several coats of finish. One thing that's a little tricky about these garden tools, the weeders with this hexagonal stock, if you're going to taper it out square but the material is six-sided, then what I do is use two of the parallel sides as if it's a square stock, and then I just hammer in the other two sides and make it a square taper out of a six-sided piece. Now that I kind of roughed them out with the power hammer, I'm going to straighten them out a little bit. So I just quickly want to correct any problems. So there's the flat bit, and there's the diagonal to get the other side. I'm leaving the flat side up and curving it on the diagonal a little bit. I'll explain why I'm pre-curving it. I'm going to establish a shoulder in that and spread out the width of it there, and I'm kind of using this like a cross-beam hammer, only hitting it with the power hammer to try to maximize the spread and create that step at the same time. And by pre-curving it and thinning out the inside curve will stretch and straighten out the material. So now it's sort of straightened itself out, and I've got the backside kind of thicker there, and I'm starting to thin down the cutting edge. I'm going to finish that on the anvil. I kind of pre-curved that a little bit again because I'm going to try to fix the tool by hand. I got a lot of the material moved quickly with the power hammer, and now I'm trying to fix the little problems. that edge gets a little raggedy from getting pinched out to a thin edge, and the metal kind of squirts out a little bit, and more in some places than others, but it'll all get straightened out in the end. So that's the basic shape that I'm after. Well, there's a little variety in these pieces. I'm going to just kind of clean them up a little bit on the belt sander, and then take them over to the forge again and do the final bend on the blade. Softens the scratches from the sander, and also kind of removes a little bit of the scale that's ground into it. I can always do a little bit of subtle cold adjustment and peen the blade a little bit thinner cold. But the next step would be, after these cool down, I'll wire brush them again. That just tapers the end a little bit so that when I pound the handle on, it's going to have a round hole, and so now I've tapered it so that it'll start easily. That gets really thin and sharp. That's what they do with sharpening scythes for back when people mowed hay with a scythe. They'd peen the edge to resharpen it. and then hit it with a whetstone after. And then the back side is really thick, so, and it's tapers out to being quite thin. Now this is tool steel, but it's not really heat treated. It's still soft enough to file, but just being tool steel to begin with, it's going to be tougher than mild steel. And then it's also work hardened a little bit by that peening, so I don't bother trying to do anything else with the blade. It's hard enough and tough enough. So now we have 4 of them ready for handles. The curves are all a little bit different because it depended on where the heat was, and I was a little out of practice, and some of them got too hot and were bending where I didn't exactly want them to, but I try to get them all to where they end up being a similar angle to the dirt. This is the branding iron that I had made with the logo on it for the Ashfield Tools. So I've got that heated up, and I'm just holding it in the vise. Try to carefully start it and rock it slightly to the side, and then that one's a little bit too burnt on, but I sand off the excess. And then I take some sandpaper . There, that looks pretty good. Quite a difference between the kind of charred mess that I started with. I'll pop open the antique oil finish and put a little in the container. Just to kind of give it an extra seal, I kind of soak it into the end grain where the tool goes and into the hole. Grab a tool, put that in the vise. Kind of line the brand up so it's there, that's on all the way. Then I apply the same finish to the handle and to the metal forged part. Then I've got oil on a brush. The end grain takes up a lot, so I sort of start with that. And then I keep going back to that end. And I'll put more than one coat on. I'll let this dry overnight, and then come back and sand it lightly and put another coat on. Sometimes 3 coats. So far the biggest problem has been people losing the tools. Not that the tools don't seem to be falling apart or anything. The wood doesn't seem to rot when it's all soaked in finish.
How long have you been making these tools?
About 10 years now. And I've been kind of offering free resharpening, which doesn't take very long and gives me a chance to sort of monitor the tools and how they're doing, and figure out if there's anything I can improve. And I'll go back and put a little on the blade. Some of the blades on the trowels and other tools are a piece of cutlery grade stainless, but the ones that I forge out of the tool steel like this, that's going to rust a little quicker, but the oil finish does help. I'm going to have a little rack that I kind of made when I sit there doing, 10 tools in a row.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already.